I love to follow Him, don't you? I just love to follow Him and watch His works. And just to think that someday we will be with Him and follow Him. With Him in person like we're seeing with our sense of sight as we do now. And be with Him forever. Oh, just to look at Him would be good enough for me. Just to see Him. That'd be sufficient for me. Amen. And now we try to take the scene and we find Him here. Where He's at. What He's doing. And trouble comes up. And how He takes care of the trouble. And tells them why they couldn't do it. And we find Him out on the sea. In the back of a boat. He just had an awful day. No doubt, but what his body was tired and he was wearied. And feeling tired and weak, virtue went out of him because he had been preaching and showing his great sign of who he was and testifying to the people and healing the people. And the crowds, had some cheered and some booed. Could you imagine people doing that to Jesus? It looked like they had no better than that. Well, you say that. They do the same thing today. Just the same. See, if He come today and just in the same thing, the way He did then, the people today would boo Him and call Him crazy just as they did then. It'd be just the same. And they do it. They would not understand Him. The world never did understand the true moving of God. And it never will understand it because it's a world. A world seeth me no more, He said, but you shall see me because I'll be with you and I'll be in you to the end of the world. If the people could just see that one quotation from Him right there, they'd recognize where we're at tonight. Amen. Could you imagine a person that never had the sense of sight, never did see, and you'd bump against objects, you'd have to derive your food from energy from some other resource? But you'd bump into something. You had a sense of feeling, but not sight. And then all at once, somebody opened their eyes up and seen a complete different world. You never had seen anything, and they'd say, "Well, now that you feel real warm on you, that is the sun." What is the sun? It's a light. What is light? See, he never lived in that sense. He doesn't know what it is. That you bump against this certain thing. Well, what's that? See, he never lived in that dimension at all. It would be very strange to him to know it. Well, now, if God lets us live, we're bodily here in 5 senses. But there is another sense. And then when we wake up into that sense, and that is the sense of vision, and we see that thing, that what it is that makes us feel these things that we do, and try to tell someone about it, just be like telling a man that never did see in his life. He wouldn't understand it because he's not acquainted with that sense. And that's the way it is in the gospel. They don't understand it. It's hard to get them to see it because that they've never lived in there. They know nothing about it. They feel it, and they can have the reaction of it, but to actually know what it is, we don't. So when you can see beyond that curtain where that comes from, and then try to come back and tell people that's only felt it with the sense of feeling like and never have been able to see it, it's hard to tell them, man. But you just have to do the best you can until we all see face to face.